What is up, dudes? Before this video starts, I just want to give a huge shout out to 5150 Racing and my boy Ronnie Bill for having me at their shop for a full day. As you guys can tell, this video is very long. It's an hour long. If you guys have Evos or GTRs, or you guys just want to learn a thing or two about basically building high horsepower cars, this video is going to be fantastic for you guys and you're going to love it. There's definitely a lot of information. My buddy Ronnie is extremely passionate about his work. This video actually started off being 2.5 hours long, and I spent an hour and a half slimming it all down to basically a bunch of facts I think that you guys would be really interested in. So if you guys could please sit down and watch as much of it as you can. Really means a lot. If not, I'll obviously get back into, you know, like the car meets and lifestyle and small installs and things like that in future videos. So other than that, hope you guys sit back and enjoy and like the video. If you guys do, please hit that like button, drop a comment. Ronnie's going to be starting a channel very soon, so be on the lookout for that. And I will have some very exciting announcements for you guys in the next coming videos. So enjoy. There's a guy named Josh who works at this Starbucks who always gets super amped to see me just because we have the same name. It's the funniest thing in the world. Like, there's no other particular reason why he gets happy to see me other than the fact we have the same first name. What is up, dudes? Hope you guys are all having an amazing day. Today we have a few errands to run. I gotta go get my hair cut. I'm hopefully gonna swing by 5150 and say what's up to Ronnie. I really want to get the Evo inspected. I've had it here in California for basically like a full day now. Shout out to the homie driving the FedEx van right now who said what's up. He watches my videos. He's up there. I didn't get a shot of him. He said he'd DM me a picture. I'll show you guys when I get to my haircut spot, and let's see what he sent. As promised, look at this. This is the homie. It's just Barry. I'm behind you. That's dope. Absolutely love running into you guys in public. Whenever you guys say what's up, it's always awesome. Now let's go get this haircut. Alright, we are back. Your boy's all cut up and my gas light turned on. Yay! Evo problems. Who would have thought a 4-cylinder could eat so much gas? I really need to order the little spring thing to hold my gas tank open, or gas cap open. So we're about 10 minutes out from the shop right now. If you guys have been watching these videos for a while, you know that 5150 is one of my favorite shops in SoCal. John is a great tuner, does amazing stuff with the GTR and Evo scene. Seriously, probably one of the best tuning shops you could go to in Southern California, and it's like 30 minutes away from my house. We're gonna pull up soon, see Ronnie build, have him go over my car and address a couple things and see if there's anything additional that I should be aware of, and maybe he'll give you some insight too if you guys are trying to buy a used Evo 8 or 9. Just give you guys some pointers on what to look out for also in addition. Alright, we're pulling up. 5150, we have arrived. How are you? Yeah, good.
I'm like, where is you?
Yeah. I'm more worried about what's under here than the interior and stuff though. So, when you're looking, if people were to buy an Evo 8 or 9, Ronnie, what would people look for? You told me to look for smoke on a cold start. That's a good one.
First and foremost, I would look for leaks and stuff.
Right.
And then, you know, just glance on their head, make sure.
And if I'm mistaken, the 60K on this car is timing belt and water pump, right? A 60K service?
You know, I wouldn't be able to tell you right off the bat like what exactly it includes.
Yeah.
But 60K does include like timing belt, you know, all the timing components and stuff.
Yeah.
Pump. Just because when you take all that stuff off, the water pump is just right there. It's 5 volts. You know, probably spark plugs, oil change, transfer case transmission.
Yeah.
Which I think you should do like every 25-30,000 miles on an Evo.
Transfer case?
Just the full drivetrain fluid.
Oh, okay.
Because it's not that expensive.
Right. Preventative maintenance.
Yeah. I like the fucking battery.
I know. I told you were gonna laugh at that, man. When I saw it, I was like, Jesus, so what are they doing?
But it's fucked. You can see it's
Hey man, whatever.
These manifolds. It's pretty good. It's like a seepage. It's right in front of the, like where the front cover is.
Yeah.
That's more than likely your oil pan. I want to put it on the lift and look at it, but I have that cam car right now.
That's good. It's good to know.
And the power steering line over there, if you look at it from here, it bolts onto the steering rack on these wires. But you see, like there's solders under this, so if it's working fine, I wouldn't fuck with it. Yeah, really.
That's just, yeah, that's just how it goes.
You can just wrap it a little more.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, this is fucking very clean.
Thank you. Something then now.
Oh man, it's definitely not slipping. Right? Car stays stationary, it means the clutch is slipping.
Right.
But you saw it was just fucking pulling.
Yeah.
Now it could just be your e-brake's not that strong, but it's a pretty... That's not put on backwards. That's just a riser.
That's funny. Yeah, it makes all these crazy noises.
So where do you... Sounds pretty cool though.
Yeah, it does. So overall, drivability wise though, it feels okay?
It feels very nice and yeah, it feels like a crisp car. It's very firm. There's a 1x1 method.
Yeah.
That you... Yeah, I don't...
It's a little weird.
It's kind of funky.
Yeah, it is.
Might be an IAC problem. Another common thing on like higher mileage Evos, this isn't that high of a mileage, but it's probably very possible because it's a 2006 car.
Right.
The throttle body shaft has 2 seals on the side. Those leak, they get brittle and they start leaking.
Yeah.
So the easiest way to tell is to pressurize the system, do a boost leak test.
Yeah.
And just spray the throttle body.
Oh, okay, and see if...
Yeah, and you can see if it like starts bubbling from the sides.
Right.
That's what it is. So if you want, the easiest way to tell if the clutch is slipping, like slipping really bad, you put on first gear, you pull the e-brake up all the way, and then you try to gas it and let go of the clutch. If the car actually wants to move, that means the clutch is doing its job because it's trying to pull away.
Right.
Now, depending on how strong the e-brake is, if the clutch is actually doing its job, it'll actually fucking pull the car. But, you know, if it is slipping, you'll just see the RPM just fucking
spike.
Up,
okay.
So. You see how it's pulling?
Right.
That's a strong clutch. 2 things. This is obviously, you know, it can't recirculate as freely as it should be. Right. Because that's literally a fucking...
it's like a
bottleneck hose or whatever. No, I don't even know what kind of hose that is. That's something you get from Home Depot. And then this is actually flipped. So it's actually not doing what it's supposed to do. All the boost is going back straight through there. And as I was telling you, this is a Evo 8 blow-off valve. The Evo 9 is a metal one.
Right.
Now, what you also can do when you get an Evo 9 one, people do this to be able to hold like, you know, 30 pounds, 31 pounds of boost on that turbos. You actually crush the top of it, and it actually like makes the spring stronger, so it actually holds more boost.
Really?
So yeah, you get like 3-4 more pounds out of it.
Yeah, Ronnie.
This one will probably, you know, start like tapering like 20, 25, 26 pounds. The blow-off valve's gonna start leaking.
Got it. That's good to know.
So
yeah, Ronnie broke my heart and told me there's some Evo 8 parts on here that I wasn't too happy about. But yeah, Evo 8 turbo blow-off valve. That's backwards.
That's backwards.
Yeah.
All right, so initially we ordered the STM pistons that I was telling you guys, the 11.5-to-1s. 20 over. My block was already 20 over, so I took them to coating. I got the domes coated with ceramic. I got the skirts coated for, you know, like with a dry lubricant film, so it quiets down the motor. So took it to my machinist. D-Sport is the best in the business in my opinion. And I'm not affiliated in any type of way with these guys, but they do all our machine work right now, and their work that comes out is fucking top notch. Like nothing beats that. So Mike calls me and he's like, "Hey, with the torque plate on, you're actually at 6,000 piston to wall. That's a lot of fucking clearance. Like that motor's not gonna last any more than 5,000 miles if I ran it that way."
Oh wow.
So I was like, damn, like I just spent $1,000 on pistons and coating and this, that. So I had another block that I ended up taking to him. That one wasn't good either. So we ended up boring the current one that I had to 40 over, which a lot of people get scared to do this, but you can go, I've seen 60 over motors on, you know, 4G63s make a, you know, globs of power and nothing happens. The 4G64, when people build like 2.4s or 2.1s, that's a 87 millimeter bore from the factory, which if you were to compare to an Evo motor is like an 80 over bore. Those motors, those people make like 950, 1,000 wheel horsepower. As long as, you know, granted they O-ring the head sometimes, you know, but my point is that the cylinder doesn't get that much weaker. I don't understand these people that are trying to make like 600-700 horsepower and are scared to go with like 40 over blocks. It's not gonna do anything. 40 over is nothing. It's a cast iron block. It's still very strong.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I had to order new pistons because STM only makes those in 20 over. So I got some CPs. We got upgraded wrist pins. I'm gonna reuse the rods. The crank, we took a good look at it, and the crank was perfectly fine. The only problem was the crank was bent.
Oh no.
Yeah. So I was like, Mike, should I buy a new one? And you know, I respect his word because the guy's been in business, you know, for he's done this a lot more than I have. I'm not even a machinist, so you know, whatever he says,
right,
that's what it is. He's like, no, we can just send it out and, you know, straighten it out. And the way they straighten out a crank is they heat it up and they just literally hammer it.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so that's that. I ordered, you know, all the parts are already ordered. The cylinder head, I got a Busher stationary cylinder head from this guy in San Diego, and that ended up being a piece of shit because I brought it home. I didn't really look at it. It was my fault. I brought it home and I took it to my machinist the next day. We fucking turned it over and I'm looking at it and there's like a piece missing from the fucking combustion chamber.
Oh no.
And I'm like, what the fuck? What the hell is this? Why did I just pay $1,000 for this thing?
Yeah.
So I am on my fucking 5th head. I bought 5 heads in the past month and a half. So
holy crap.
I have one coming on Saturday. This one's supposed to be clean. I saw pictures of it.
That's crazy.
So when this one comes, this one's gonna get ported. If I have time. If not, I'm just gonna swap my valve train over and, you know, just put it on because I want my car back, man. I wanna make some good power.
Yeah, you're ready.
So
you're ready to spin all fours.
I don't know about that, but spin something, spin a bearing or something.
No, don't say that. Don't say that after all that work.
No, so you know, everything's already ordered. The head is the bottom end is done. I just gotta go pay for it and pick it up. So at the end of the week, I'll have my bottom end ready. And yeah, I can show you guys some of my parts. And also, we're not gonna rebuild the transmission, unfortunately, because I'm out of funds right now. So we're just gonna throw the one I have in there. Third gear slips, third gear grinds just a tiny bit if you don't give it enough time, which is fine. You know, I'm gonna throw a build transmission in there down the road.
Yep.
So,
there we go, race car, the transporter of the race car.
So, can you focus into that?
Yeah, you could see inside.
You see those cracks?
Yeah.
That's my old head.
Oh, yeah,
it's cracked on every single combustion chamber.
That's crazy.
To every valve seat. So there's 4 cracks on each combustion chamber. That's from it getting too hot. So that's why you make sure you run whatever the car was tuned on. If you don't, this is what happens. It got too hot. I'm lucky it didn't, you know, melt the gasket, didn't fuck anything else up, but
right.
It was running fine. But you know, I'm obviously not going to use this because it's a cracked head now. So
right.
This thing has set me back, or else the motor would have been together already.
Okay.
And another crazy thing is this head was pretty much a stock head. It just had oversized valves and strong springs. It's still in the stock casting. It's not even ported. It's not even like cleaned up. It's an unported head and it made that much power before. So
yeah, hopefully
with a ported head this time around I can make, you know, quite a bit more. For the Magnus intake manifold, so the Magnus has a 90mm opening. This is the adapter for the stock throttle body, okay? Now, the stock throttle body is about 60mm, the throttle plate. I was telling you, I got the S90, I got the 74mm S90, so this is 70mm, so this has to get ported 4mm. And then this is gonna slap onto my Magnus intake manifold, and then we're gonna make a lot of power.
Yeah, that's crazy, man.
Hopefully.
You got more parts than you told me. I remember when you told me you were like,
I have so many parts. You should see what I have at my house. There's like boxes of parts that, yeah, because I ordered a new oil cooler. It just kind of got out of hand. I just started ordering shit. Yeah. And it just literally got out of hand, and now I have like a lot of parts. No, I am. I mean, I'm already regretting it because. So, over there, we have my double pumper. Okay. Now, let me just slide in here real quick. As you can see, these are two 255s, Walbros. This pump is the primary. This pump runs all the time, okay? This pump has wires going to the front of the engine, which connects to a switch. It's called a hop switch, and that's connected to a boost source. So as soon as that boost that hop switch sees like 14 psi or whatever it sets at, right? The second pump kicks in. So the double pumper isn't running all the time because that would kill the pumps, and it's kind of stupid.
Right.
So what I did, because I know I'm gonna need more fuel this time around, I actually bought two 450s.
Nice.
So now instead of having the 255s, we're gonna have the two 450s. You can see how big the motor is just like looking at the bottom of it.
Yeah.
So the top looks the same, but the bottom is, this will flow all the fuel pretty much. Like I don't need to go anything bigger than this, especially because I'm still on the like factory lines.
Mm-hmm. Are you really?
I am on factory.
Wow, that's crazy, and it's making that much power.
So this is a Busher double pumper, right?
Mm-hmm.
This has two outlets. Two rubber hoses go in this, and then on the bottom of this, there's a Y. So these two basically tap into one line and it goes to the front of the car. But it's still the factory size, you know, fuel line. Which, again, to prove my point, you don't need to go with like -8 feed lines if you're trying to make, you know, 700-800 horsepower. You should, if you have the money, but you don't absolutely need to, is my point.
Right.
Over here, yeah, my turbo that just came back from Pure Turbos.
Jesus.
They cleaned it out, they balanced it. Remember I was telling you I'm gonna send it out?
Yeah.
$400 later, it's back, it's balanced, it's clean, it looks nice again. That's that. That's that, so that's gonna go here. Oh, I should probably open it. So, like I said, all the parts got coated, including the valve cover.
Ooh, I haven't seen this. I saw on your Instagram.
Glittery as fuck.
Ooh, that looks super sick.
You know, gay as fuck, glittery. So,
looks really clean though. I like that.
thanks, man. I wanted to go on like a full black theme, pretty much.
Right.
Alright, so this, I actually ended up getting a CDI that I told you, the capacitive discharge ignition.
Mm-hmm.
I coated the plate the same color as that guy, and these plugs actually, so this sits and then there's a CDI box. This goes into the CDI box, and then you pretty much never run out of spark again.
Right.
It's just,
because you were telling me if you don't get a CDI that you could get breakup and stuff, right?
yes.
Yeah.
And I was getting breakup in 3rd gear.
Oh, okay.
So, you know, yeah, like you would do a pull, depending on the weather. You know, if the weather got hot and you're still on like, you know, a certain amount of like spark plug gap, now it starts doing this, and it's very bad when you're like, you know, you have like 50 pounds in the cylinder and that starts happening.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
very violent. It beats on the crap out of the bearings. So, you know, I got this just because, you know, I'm shooting for big power. It doesn't really make sense to stay on the stock one. And not the stock one, the non-CDI. And I sold that on one day, so it was one of those things that I only spent like $500 on this, technically.
Yeah.
So this, let's see which one it is. So I got an oil pressure gauge, obviously. The car didn't have one. I mean, you fucking need an oil pressure gauge. And this is what it is. So this shows you oil pressure and oil temperature. I don't really care about the temperature, I care about the pressure.
Of course.
Most of the gauges only go up to 100 pounds. I made sure this one goes up to 150 pounds. AEM has 2 versions too. This is an Innovate, but one goes up to 100, one goes up to 150. So these motors, even stock, they make like high oil pressure. So you want something that, you know, will actually read it. Or else you can just put a 100 PSI one and it's gonna peg as soon as you start it. So there's no point. You know, you have to make sure you get the right one. And this is
crazy, man. This is the Ronnie built Christmas to yourself.
I just want to see it running.
It's so awesome.
So this is ECA, this is ethanol content.
Yeah.
So on this harness over here, on this brown wire, I would have to basically get a wire from the factory fuel tank pressure differential sensor and just run it all the way front. And I have to figure out what wire it is. I have to look on the Tefra thread on Evo M to figure out which wire exactly it is I need to tap into, because if I don't do that, then John can't see what voltage the sensor has and he can't really tune it. He's gonna be like, what the fuck?
Got it, yeah, he's gonna be blind.
Yeah, so all my hot parts, this is my turbine housing. So you can see it's ceramic coated black, and inside is actually copper coated. So this actually dissipates heat and helps spool up.
Really?
Or at least that's what, you know, it's advertised at.
Okay.
And it's not an upsell because it comes with the coating. So it's like, it's one of those things they do. It's like a combination.
That's a win-win.
Yes. I hope so. Transfer case, like I said, we're not touching it. We have no issues. The header is coated the same way.
Oh, nice.
As you can see, copper coated again.
Mm-hmm.
So it's
super sleek.
Like this. Yeah. Sorry, it's gonna sit like this actually. So turbo sits here. Wastegate is here. The dump goes down like this.
And you're running a dual wastegate setup, right?
No.
Oh, are you not?
I'm on a V-band.
Oh, yeah. V-band? Okay.
Single scroll.
Why is it that some people use the dual versus the...
So...
Any preference on that?
Twins, okay, so the T4 and the twin wastegate style turbo kits will actually spool up faster.
Okay.
Reason being is because the companion cylinders are merged into one. So instead of this being one wastegate hole for all four, so this and this will go to one wastegate, and the center two will go to another one. So it helps spool up because of basically the exhaust gas velocity, like the way it comes out of the cylinder, it actually scavenges like the other side. Right. But when you have four, it can't do that because it can't simultaneously do it at the same time. So what happens is this guy will be on like the exhaust stroke, and it'll actually scavenge from this side or vice versa. I can't exactly tell you right now, but that's pretty much why it spools faster and why people go with it. It's a more expensive kit because you have to get two wastegates, two dumps. And
that's what I always thought too. I always figured you're buying double, so it'd be expensive.
But I mean it'll increase like 500-600 RPMs of spool. But I mean, spool isn't exactly what I was going for. It's a 2-liter, so I mean, if I really was trying to go for a spool, I would go with a 2.4, right, or like a 2.2.
Responsiveness. Yeah,
responsiveness. So that's that, and then
I like the 2-liter though because you keep the high revs.
Yeah, I can rev it up. Yeah. This thing, I would say safely like 9,500, but the thing is, at that point,
that's crazy. That's so high.
Anything past 9, I get uncomfortable with because I don't know if the oil pump can handle it, honestly. You know, if you go with a dry sump, you see those, 2.1 strokers revving up to like 11.5. Yeah. I mean, that's like motorcycle territory, man. They do it all day, making like 1,200 horsepower, excuse me. Yeah. But this is a standard size rod, so it's a 150 millimeter rod. It's not a long rod motor. If it was, I would be more comfortable revving it higher. And I don't want the thing to break on me after 1,000 miles, so I think 9,000 RPM is still going to be, that's a long power band. We have another Evo 9, actually. Ironically, that motor has balance shafts in it still. That motor, the rev limit is set at 9750. And it's a long rod 2-liter. So you can do it, and that motor's been running for like 30,000 miles. Oh wow. You can do it, but I don't know. It just freaks me out, man. Yeah, it's an oil pump. It's a mechanical oil pump. It's not gonna, at one point it just stops doing what it's supposed to do. Right. Because it wasn't designed for 10,000 RPM. It was designed for 7,000 RPM. Yeah, and not for long periods of time. That's why the tag is red at 7,000. Yeah. So I was gonna do a low key, one of those AC relocation ones. I'm sorry, the stereo relocation ones that goes where the stereo is for the gauges. Right. And I actually saw one at Evo M yesterday for 150 bucks, but I have 2 gauges and I don't know what I'm gonna put for the third one, and that will drive me crazy. Oh yeah, having an extra hole. Yeah. So I don't want to spend money on like fucking voltage or something stupid. Just to fucking fill a hole. Yeah, fill a hole. Yeah. But I have to tell the car. Mark over here is our detailer. I saw that on your Snapchat. It was really good. It was really clean. It's gonna look nice if I take it outside. Unfortunately, it's sitting here. I kind of did this to like motivate myself to fucking get it over with. Oh, so it looked nice and tempting. Yeah. So hopefully, realistically, by the end of next week, hopefully we can begin assembly. The bottom end assembly at least. Right. And then for the porting, if I end up actually porting the head, it might take another week or so. But if I don't, then maybe even by the end of next week, I'll have the head back as well. I ordered a head gasket. I'm going to be running a JE head gasket just because I'm 40 over now. So you know, there's a few options out there. Last round there was a Cometic head gasket, which is pretty good, but the J8 is better. Like, I like the J8 design a little better. And besides, people have been using it on like 1,000 horsepower Acuras and shit for, you know, the longest time, and they hold up very well. Oh, and I also got a 5-bar map sensor that can actually accurately read up to 59 pounds of boost.
That's so crazy.
The 4-bar reads to 43 pounds. So if you were to look at like a okay, so if you were to look at a timing map or whatever, like a fuel map, right? Once it goes past a certain point, like once it passes the 43-pound limit, which the computer actually looks at as load, you know, okay, like kilopascals or whatever.
Right. Once
it goes past that, it's a blank table, so the computer has to like figure out something and, you know, throw a random fucking value at it. So it's not accurate. So anything past 43 pounds, the computer's actually trying to figure it out. And it's, you know, it's not really accurate.
That's not good.
Yeah, so I was running 51 pounds in 5th gear. And like I said, the map sensor pegs at 43 pounds. So at that point, you don't know what the fuck's happening.
Yeah, it's open game at that point.
Yeah, that's open game, really. Yeah. I mean, it dumps a bunch of fuel.
Jeez.
Because, you know, it can't see anything. So, you know, there's a fail-safe that, like, he's like, oh, what the fuck? So it starts dumping fuel.
Yeah.
But it's not accurate. Like, you're not actually getting a precise, you know, air-fuel ratio at that point. That's not what you tune for it. It's what the computer's tuning for it, you know, at that point.
Yeah, so, it's active tuning itself pretty much.
Yeah, a good friend of mine. So, you know, right now it's kind of a mess, but let me just give you like a little rundown of. So this is his surge tank, okay?
Jesus.
This is able to house 3 pumps. Right now we have 2 Walbro 450s, just like my setup would be. So they're both hardwired. If you can see, they're both hardwired. So they get constant voltage. Well, let me take that back. They're both hardwired, but one is triggered by the Cyvex ECU that I just told you about. So as soon as you know, it sees like 10-15 pounds of boost, whatever the, you know, whatever John set it at, it'll actually send power to the second relay, and it'll actually get full battery voltage. So these pumps aren't going to last long. They're probably going to last like a year, but it's going to get all the fuel in that 1 year. So it has a custom, it has a Y over here, as you can see. Over there.
Oh yeah, that's what you were describing earlier.
Yeah, these are -6s. It goes to a Y, to a -8, and then I drilled a hole over there. I put a bulkhead fitting, and then it has a straight -8 all the way to the underside of the hood. Right now the head is off, and so this is the fuel line. This is the feed line, and this is the return line. So we use the -6 for the return. That's the Cyvex ECU, okay? That's the Cyvex standalone. This is the most badass fucking ECU you can put on a Evo 10, period. This has like all the features. Show you the bottom end.
I'm guessing this one's sleeved.
Yeah, sleeved.
Oh wow, that's nuts.
Yeah, this is the bottom end I built. So actually what happened was, unfortunately, he misshifted. Instead of going into 4th gear, he went to 2nd gear for a split second.
Oh geez.
And the motor, we looked at the log, it went to 10,781 RPM. And the bottom end is still good. He unfortunately bent exhaust valves on cylinder number 4. Okay. So almost 11,000 RPM on a motor that's supposed to rev up to 8,500, and the bottom end is good. So assembly was on fleek.
That's good.
Bearings are good. There's nothing wrong with that. Right off the trailer, with him shifting very slow to get used to the car and the traction control on, which is an issue.
Yeah.
He went 160 right off the trailer. So the car has, you know, the final drive on this car is a 423. So at 8,500 RPM in 5th gear, this car should be able to go 179 miles an hour. You know, granted it can make that power.
Right.
So it was on a 6466, 38 pounds. It made 760 on our dyno on E90, the same fuel that I'm going to be using, Ignite Red.
Right.
So this time around, he's going to a 9174. And depending on if we have time or not, we're going to do a custom intake manifold for him. You know, hopefully get another like 80-90 wheel horse on this dyno. And then this time he's actually going to have all the features like rolling anti-lag and all that stuff, so you can actually enjoy the Cyvex to the full potential, because right now it's really not doing much other than what the stock ECU would do.
Right, there's still more on the table.
Yes. What it does have right off the bat, like, you know, one of the fail safes that it has built in is once like the AFR goes leaner than a certain point, it'll actually start cutting ignition, or it'll actually like cut, or you know, it'll rev limit, it'll do something to stop the motor from
killing itself. Yeah.
So we're gonna put an oil pressure gauge. It doesn't have any of that right now. We're gonna put an oil pressure gauge. We're gonna wire it into the Cyvex. So if the oil pressure goes lower than a certain point at like a certain RPM, same thing happens, it cuts. If boost, you know, overshoots for whatever reason, you know, wastegate line pops off, this happens. If boost overshoots, it's going to protect itself. So, you know, there's a lot of great features to be had with a standalone ECU. Granted, you know, you can afford it, because that's not a cheap thing. That's, like I said, $3,500 retail for that with the harness.
Yeah.
Which is pretty expensive for an ECU, man. That
is really expensive.
Yeah, some people will build you a motor for that money.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's going to last, but... But yeah, it's a 2.2, you know, like I said, built ported head that it is getting built again. It's almost done. I'm probably going to pick it up at the same time I pick up my stuff. Like bolt-ons, when you get the car tuned, if you throw a catch can on there, it's going to make like 10-15 more horsepower, just because it's going to alleviate some of the blow-by that you're going to have.
Really? Oh, that's good to know. I didn't even know that.
Okay, so if you look at this, that's what detonation does. You see that?
Yeah, you could see it.
It starts pitting and like eating the piston. So this is what happens when it gets really hot in the cylinder. When this is coming down, the ring ends butt on the top ring, and it'll literally take a piece of the, you know, ring land off, like a piece of the piston off. So, you know, detonation will cause this. Leaning out will cause this. You know, like we see a lot of people with like off-shelf cop tunes and like a bunch of custom parts. And the guy comes in, he's like, oh, my car's smoking. There's no like compression in one cylinder. And like I've seen this over and over again. There was one day that I did 3 leak down tests and 3 Evo 10s had the same issue. Literally the same issue, the same way.
That's crazy.
So it's very important to, you know, a good tune is very important. The way these work, the surface has a treatment on it that protrudes about 10-15 thousandths, okay? So you can't bore it. Technically speaking, you can't bore it. So, what you do is you measure this out, and then there are a few manufacturers that make GTR specific pistons. So remember that whole thing that I was telling you about torque plates?
Yeah. And
how you put it on and it makes it a perfect circle?
Right.
So from the factory, this block wasn't torque plated, just like any other car here. Because it wasn't intended for 1,000, 1,500 horsepower. It was intended for 500, 600, you know what I mean?
Right.
So those pistons they're called graded pistons. You know, you order grade A, B, C, and they're basically the sizes. Okay. So I measure it with a, you know, dial bore gauge, and I give our parts guy the size, and he orders it. So that piston is actually meant to be ran in a cylinder that's not a perfect circle.
Really?
Yeah. So it's
crazy.
actually designed by the manufacturer to be able to be ran in this block.
Okay.
You know, I'm not sure. You know, if you want to go big power, I'm not sure if it can be sleeved. I'm sure it can be, but there was some talk about like the block's rigidity or something that like, I don't know exactly, don't quote me on this, but a lot of people that come here would just, you know, do the grade pistons, and they work great because they're designed for that. But, you know, past like, you know, 11, 1200 wheel horsepower on a dyno like this, you really want to, you know, be able to have a perfect cylinder, the right clearances, because that's really critical for, you know, engine life, obviously.
Yeah, consistency.
Wear, compression, yeah. And like I said, that's one of the main reasons why good machine work really matters, because you can go to the machine shop down the street that has no experience with Evos. You know, they'll do a great job boring it, but when they hone it, they're not going to use a torque plate, and you know, now you have like 5,000 piston to wall and like a 600 horsepower build.
Right.
2,000 miles later, the car's smoking like a chimney. You know, it's just a lot of things that.
Yeah.
That's why you take specific cars to specific shops.
Of course.
You know what I mean? And that's the thing with any other car. Like if somebody wants to do a 1,500 horsepower GTR build, they wouldn't bring it here. They'll take it to T1 or they'll take it to AMS or whatever. People that specifically work on like 2,000 horsepower GTRs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But if somebody wants an 800 horsepower Evo, they bring it here.
Yeah.
Because that's what specifically we work on, you know?
Yeah. That's your guys' thing.
Yeah. 9180 car, actually, this one.
This one?
Yeah, this is a twin scroll driven tab kit.
Jeez.
The wastegates are a bitch. So, yeah.
Isn't everything on the 10 though compared to the 8 and 9 kind of more tedious? Like the clutch I know is a little...
Not really.
Oh really?
If you have a lift, no, because you basically lower the subframe, you pull it back, and you have all the space. I would actually say it's easier than an 8.
Really?
To do a clutch. That's what I would say.
Huh.
But just to give you an idea, the motor had to come out for this kit to go on.
The entire...
Yeah, the fucking motor had to come out for the kit to go on. That's how much of a bitch that is. And that comes here either gets a GTX 35R, 30R, or you know 8374 and 9174. They work, man. They work. I mean, they spool so quick. I drove a Evo 10 that we put together here. Stock motor 8374, you know, full bolt-ons. That thing pulled like a motherfucker, man. I mean, for as heavy as these cars are, I mean, it's really impressive what a stock motor Evo 10 can do. I mean,
it's crazy.
I'm a firm believer now.
Of the Evo 10? Yeah, before you weren't, you said, I remember.
Yeah, now, like, they're growing on it. Just because, like, I work on them every day now. And, like, I can see the potential that the car has.
Quick question. So, Myvec, I know in the Evo 10, since it's using both cams, you know how on the 9 it's the intake cam. Does that actually affect the power band a lot? Like, do you notice?
Does, yeah.
Oh, you
so
can
it actually moves the power band to the left. So, you have more power everywhere compared to Evo 9.
Really?
So, if you had the same compression, same bore size, same stroke, everything was the same. You have a motor with no variable valve timing and you have a motor with variable valve timing. The motor with variable valve timing is going to make more power everywhere. Or it's going to spool up faster. And, you know, like, you know, keep on making power.
Of course.
And the power is going to come on a lot faster than, you know, non-variable valve timing car. At one point it does get, like, in the way of making power.
Yeah, of timing.
Magnus Motorsports actually sells block-off plates for those, so you can actually buy like a solid cam gear for the 10s.
Oh, okay.
To get rid of that. But you know, that's like if you're trying to...
Really?
Yeah, like I'm talking like...
4-digit power.
Yeah, 4-digit power, exactly.
In this car?
This is the GTR that's getting the motor, the one that I just showed you.
Oh, okay.
So this doesn't have a motor in it right now. It has a wheel well in there. That's that. And then... this guy.
Oh, this car was here last time I think I was here.
Yeah, we haven't moved on to it. I think they're waiting for a deposit or something.
I'm sure all this...
It's getting motor. It's still not out. But, you know, they're pretty simple. This is an Evo 8 head, okay? This is where the intake manifold sits. This is the EGR port. This comes from the exhaust runner that's on this side, okay? So if you don't block this off, when you put your intake manifold on, you're actually getting all the exhaust heat in the intake manifold. So it actually raises the intake air temps.
Oh wow.
So what I do every time I take one of these heads off and it's a performance build, you actually tap this, you cap it, and you put a thermal spacer. You took a thick plastic gasket that actually spaces it out a little bit, and it drops intake temps quite a bit.
Really? Oh yeah, even the size.
It says 10.5. You see how it says 10.5?
Yeah.
That's the size of the hot side. Yours says 9.8. So yours is the Evo 8 one. So all 5 Evo 8s actually have a 10.5 hot side, but the compressor housing is not as big. So Evo 9 gets the best of both worlds. Gets a bigger compressor housing
and the hot side.
And a 10.5 hot side. This is how you do cams and springs and retainers on an Evo 10. You don't take the front cover off because that's a waste of time. You know, we have some tools that we actually get rid of the tension. We put that slidey tool there, and it actually like pushes on the rail, takes the tension off. Then we take the cams off. You know, we make sure the chain doesn't fall down. We don't want it to fall off the crank gear. And then we pressurize each cylinder with this guy. This is like a leak down tester, and then I put about 100 pounds of pressure in there. And then when I do that, I can actually put this on the valve spring, like so. I'm not going to do it right now because there's no pressure in there. If I do it right now, the valve's going to drop in the cylinder. Oh shit. And I'm going to have to pull the head off.
Yeah.
So when you have pressure in there, you can actually push this down, and it'll actually release it past the point where I can get these little valve keepers out, and then I take it out and I replace the springs, and then it goes back the same way. So pretty straightforward, but you just got to make sure it has enough pressure, and you got to make sure those little retainers, those little keepers don't fall over here into the oil return galleys, because it will go in the crankcase and you will have a bad day. It will, you know, go inside the oil pickup tube. It's crazy. Like when you take motors apart, did you see some crazy shit that end up there? Like what the fuck?
Yeah, how did
mostly built motors, bro? That's the fucked up thing.
Yeah.
Like I took a built motor apart and like the motor had 200 miles on it. Half of the pickup was covered. The bearings looked like they had 250,000 miles on them. Like it was about to wipe it out, because you know that's how the oil pump gets its, you know, thing. That pickup tube actually picks up all the oil from the sump. So if you have 50% of it covered, you're at 9,000 RPM. You're getting 50% of the oil you need to be getting. So it's very important. You gotta, you know, be very clean when you assemble an engine. Like when you look at it right now, like this isn't the cleanest, but if I'm putting anything from here to here, it's absolutely clean. I make sure it's absolutely dust free. When I'm assembling a motor, there's nothing here. I take all this shit apart. Like I take all this stuff off. You know, you put like a fresh sheet of those blue towels and you just make sure nothing gets in the motor. You put the right amount of silicone. If you don't put the right amount of silicone, you squeeze it down, you torque it down, then the silicone that's on the inside breaks off and ends up in the pickup again.
Oh geez.
So I've seen like strings of silicone like stuck in there. That's one of those things that you just see it and you know you don't do it. So I hook it up, right? Make sure that stops leaking. And then I'm gonna put about 100 pounds. You can get away with like 80 pounds, but I like to put as much pressure as I can in there. Not gonna make a difference. That's right about 100 pounds. So what you do is you get your magnet, put your tool in here, make sure it's centered on there. Put your screwdriver on the keepers. There we go.
That's really cool. The details.
Yeah, I mean, you don't, like I said, you don't want that valve going in the cylinder. For it. And then these are beehives, so you gotta make sure it goes on the proper way. So it has like a cone shape almost, and the wider end goes on the bottom. As such. Titanium retainers. Make sure it's a little centered so it makes your job easier. So I don't like using gloves for this part because gloves get oily and slippery. So, you know, it's gonna be on for a while. So this gets used as a retainer. So for whatever reason, if my hand slips or whatever and the keeper wants to fly out, this keeps the valve keeper in there.
Crazy.
3 down, 13 more to go.
BW is training. And
where's my mark?
So since Ronnie helped me go over my car, I'm buying him lunch because he's a good guy. You guys should give him a follow. He's gonna start a YouTube channel very soon. Be on the lookout for it.
That's gotta buy a GoPro.
Yeah. So Ronnie just wrapped up installing cams, valve springs, and retainers on this thing. Looks so gnarly. Look at this. 4G63 versus 4B11. What do you guys prefer? Iron block or aluminum? Make your choice. This is behind the scenes Ronnie built car wash.
Fucking take care of your customers, bro. You gotta make sure everything's
tip top for the Evo customers. Right now is going to take make that car that you guys just saw. I think I mentioned it before, but we're at 5150 Racing in Santa Ana, California right now. John Dranis is the owner of the shop. They do an amazing job with Evo 10s. They don't do so many 8s and 9s just because a lot of them are Mickey Mouse, and a lot of them, just because they're older cars, people tend to mess with stuff a lot more, don't do it the right way. But the 4B11, as you guys can see, is John's partake. You know, we got how many Evos here, you know? All you guys see is Evo 10s, and they make huge amounts of power. John was one of the first people I ever saw start making, you know, 500-600 wheel stock blocks, stock internals, stock head gasket, like just, you know, like full bolt-ons cams and a big turbo like a EFR or Garrett GTX turbo, and literally like the cars rip. It's insane. A lot of people think the Evo 10 is a slouch. It is not slow at all. I mean, for a big car, it moves just like GTRs. R35s are huge, but they move, trust me. So once Ronnie's done doing his test drive with the car he just installed the cams, valve springs, and retainers on, I don't know what he's getting into. We were gonna pull my car in and possibly put on the lift. I don't know if that's gonna be possible. I know John's got a tune going on in the back, so we'll find out right now.
This car was having issues. It was leaning out for whatever reason, even though we had a high pressure 450 in there. So what we're gonna do is we're actually gonna hardwire it, but we're gonna do it with a relay. We're gonna do it in such a way that it keeps the factory high low voltage function. So when he's just cruising around, the pump's not on override, but anytime he gets into boost and it switches onto the full battery voltage, it gets, you know, 14 volts or whatever the battery has. So there's two ways to do it. There's the, you fucking hook it up and it's always on way, or you do it the factory way. This way takes longer. You know, you have to run a few wires up to the front of the car, into the fuse box, but this is the right way to do it. So, two ways to do it. The right way and the wrong way. In the back, we have everything hooked up. This relay goes to a fuse. So, you know how the factory has a low and high voltage operation?
Yeah.
In order to get the high voltage to work with the hard wires, I need to tap into the fuel pump relay. So the relay is controlled by the computer grounds it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run the ground wire of the relay to the fuse. So every time it grounds it to go to the high voltage, the relay kicks on and it goes onto the hard wire. So it actually gets hardwired. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
So it's a pain in the ass because it takes, you know, quite a bit of time. I mean, half of the interior comes apart. If you look at it.
Yeah, I saw.
I ran that wire and now I have to grab it from under the car. I mean, it's not a big deal. It's like 5 panels, but it's more tedious than just hardwiring the actual pump itself.
Yeah.
A straight hardwire with like a 4-pole relay. You know what I mean? This is a 5-pole relay. This, when the relay's, you know, is not actually hardwiring the pump, it's actually going through the relay and it's going, like the relay's not getting activated is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
But as soon as it switches, as soon as the computer grounds it, with my ground wire, it's going to ground the relay and it's going to basically kick on the relay. At that point, it gets full 14 volts. It's a little more tedious than just hardwiring it straight to the, you know, to the relay.
Yeah.
But the pump's going to live and the car's actually going to work the way it needs to. So,
it's good.
On my car, we did 2 of that. So we did 2 hardwires on the pump, but the first one is always 14 volts. So we didn't actually do this because we wanted all the fuel on that.
So right now there's a Precision 6266, I believe, about to go down on the dyno. I'm gonna get you guys some clips of it. John Dranis is gonna tune it, Evo 10. Ronnie said it's gonna be a loud one. We're gonna find out.
So, you know, like I'm putting this factory felt tape style electrical tape over this just so like when you open the trunk it doesn't seem like somebody just like fucking did a crazy wiring job. You know, it's nothing special. It's not like a crazy fancy electrical sleeve, but you know, it's better than nothing. It's better to, you know, the customer opens the trunk and he sees a nice, you know, tuck, you know, little harness and nobody has any idea what's going on. But it's, you know what I mean? It's these like little things that make the difference of, you know, like
I got earplugs in my ears right now because the turbo spool is so loud, and Ronnie hooked me up with them. John's just prepping a couple more things, making sure that everything's gonna run accordingly. I'm standing outside just in case it's like a liability thing, so if something comes flying out the engine bay, I can't sue him. Not that I would, but I'm excited to see this. I've never been around an Evo game too, so this is kind of cool.
That's 12 volts. That's 12 volts. This one is 0 volts. So this is the pin that I have to trace out and see off of this harness which wire it's connected to. And then that's the one that the fuel pump relay is going to get connected to, because once the computer switches to ground, that's what it's going to ground. So that's the pin we're looking for.
Wait, so you said you used the other car as like a dummy to know which you're tapping into, basically?
Yeah, because this one, the battery's not connected yet.
Oh, right.
So now what I'm going to do is here, right?
Yeah.
I have to see which wire it goes into. Whichever wire it goes into is the wire that I'm gonna tap into. Is some sort of resistance, but as soon as I see it, it's gonna beep. So.
Yo. Money.
Thinking straight. Because I can't do that, I will do this. Because I fucking can't. Because I'll pay like 40 bucks for this thing. I'm gonna put it to use.
What the hell's that?
I'm probing the wire.
Oh.
Yes, sir. Continuity. Okay, so that's pretty much it. I'm just gonna.
Damn, we're in the Evo 10, guys. I'm not gonna lie, I like these Evo 10s. They're so clean, honestly. I don't know how you guys feel about the 8 or 9 or the 10, but I actually really dig the 10s. They're really nice. And this thing is super camp. All right, so Ronnie's taking this car out. My car's gonna get pulled in right now. I would be lying if I said that I wasn't a little nervous to put on the lift, but Ronnie says not to be worried. The car drove okay, and honestly, I don't even care at this point, like, because I have the car ready. Whatever I have to deal with the car, it's an 11-year-old car. I already kind of knew going into it. So, I mean, fingers crossed, it doesn't have anything too crazy, but it's to be expected. And I honestly made the choice to get the older Evo for you guys because I knew that it was gonna have more work in it. Like, the way I looked at it is like, yes, I'm gonna be spending more money. I could have totally bought an Evo 10, like a 2015 or something. It would have been like brand new, basically, low miles, not have to worry. But I realized that was kind of lame and boring, and no one wants to see that. Like, you guys want to see an actual project car and what might go into it. And with an 11-year-old car, there might need more to be replaced on it. And the Evo 9 was harder to find, which in my opinion made it more special to show you guys. So, hope you guys can appreciate that and understand. that's what the noise is?
From the cat, that might be full. Somebody cut this. Cut this shit and get rid of it.
So the
Little nuts on it.
yeah.
Fucking lock washers. What the hell?
That's yeah.
It does look pretty clean. So, and it's not an ACD unit. I'll tell you right now.
Yeah.
Yes, that's an evil way. It's missing the fucking bell housing bolt. This one is not that important. It doesn't seem to be mainly. That's dry. This is wet. So most likely what it is either the transfer case big O-ring or that little O-ring that goes between the transfer case and the transmission. There's a sealing ring, and then there's an actual O-ring that goes around the mouth of the transfer case. So it's most likely that. You have a stop clutch.
Is it really?
Yeah, that's a stop clutch. It seems like that leak is actually being like pushed back when you drive. Hence why it's like
Wet?
it's wet all the way until here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it'll like build up into a thick like crud if you don't take care of it. But you know, the transfer case does look new. This is fucking weird. It's studded.
Yeah.
But I guess that's better, I guess, because studs are good. But it does seem like it's been recently resealed. They put a lot of grease on it to push it on because this has a big O-ring as well. Bring your tank. This is how you do it. The Evo tanks don't have this.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks good. I mean, the goodness.
So Ronnie actually pointed out to me earlier that the blow-off valve is on backwards, which I know we probably said it earlier. And now he's being a nice guy and making sure it doesn't make all the crazy noises it was. Yeah. Quick to pinpoint.
It's sitting like this, right? Hold. Trying to think. Are you there? Or for some odd reason, not going down here. Let's see.
Kind of sounded like it.
Let's see what it does.
Alright, so overall inspection went pretty good with my car. We're just going to go for a drive, see if switching the blow-off valve around will stop all the crazy flutter. Like I said before, it looked like it was on backwards. When Ronnie did that vacuum test, it didn't look like it was lifting at all, so the blow-off valve might not even be working. This has been a little weird, the fact that I have an Evo 8 turbo and an Evo 8 blow-off valve. Someone definitely had a different turbo on this at some point, but it still has a stock clutch when we were looking underneath. Super odd, but overall the car's pretty clean. No major rust, nothing to be concerned of. Inner tire rods need to be replaced, but it's not even that bad, to be honest. So I'm really relieved that this went pretty well. Do you think that would affect like performance at all too?
It's still keeping shut. It's still building boost, but
Yeah.
when it's supposed to release boost, it doesn't.
Got it.
So right now, you can actually hear it whoosh back inside the, you know, the intake.
Yeah.
That's a weird growl though, man. It almost sounds like... There you go, it sounds normal now.
Yeah.
The turbo's gonna last now. Yeah, it was probably, the boost was probably turned down a little bit too. You know, whenever he did that, because I highly doubt he tuned it. At one point I was doubting myself. I'm like, dude, it looks the same. Like, I honestly don't know. Like, what is it supposed to do? Because it looks the same.